topic for discussion is Apex triggers. Okay, so Apex trigger, as I told you, is is just another way of using the Apex code. So far, whatever we have done using Apex is on Visualforce page, right? So we have always used Apex with the Visualforce page as a controller. When you call an Apex code or an Apex class as a controller on the Visualforce page, or you call it as an extension controller on the Visualforce page, right? So we have used Apex code either as a controller for a Visualforce page or as an extension to an existing controller of the Visualforce page, right? Now Apex trigger is another way of using Apex code. So in case you want to use your own logic, but you don't want to call this logic from any defined interface, alright? So in Visualforce, the thing is that we have a user interface and then we have some button or some component on the Visualforce page which calls the method from the Apex class. If you don't want to do that, if you don't want to call your method through a UI, then what is the other option that you have? You have an option of an Apex trigger. So let's understand what is Apex trigger first. An Apex trigger is Apex code. So this is also an Apex code that executes before or after the following types of operations. So this is an Apex code that can be executed either before or after these operations. What are the operations before which or after which Apex trigger can be executed? Insert operation. I hope all of us remember insert operation means creating a new record, entering a record into the database. Update operation, and we all remember what is an update operation, right? Editing some data, updating the data in an object. Delete operation and undelete operation, right? So a trigger is this Apex code which can be executed before or after insert, update, delete or undelete operation. Okay, so insert is creating a new record, update is when a record is being updated, delete is when a record is being deleted, and undelete is if a record which is into the recycle bin is restored, that is undelete. So during data management we discussed about this, that if you delete something that goes into the recycle bin, it's by default not permanently deleted, it goes into the recycle bin. So something which is there in the recycle bin can be undeleted, alright? Only data which is in the recycle bin, that can be undeleted. Other data which has been permanently deleted, that cannot be undeleted, right? So that's about an Apex trigger. So the basic or simple definition of Apex trigger is there is a code that gets executed before or after these operations. Okay. There are two types of Apex triggers. One is before trigger. Okay. These before triggers are used to update or validate record values before they are saved to the database. Okay. So I told you that the trigger is the code which gets executed before or after those operations, right? So trigger code can be executed before one of those operations. These are, in general terminology we call them DML operations. Insert, update, delete and delete. So these are also called DML operations, data manipulation language. So when I say DML operation, just relate to these operations. Okay. So you can have a before trigger. Before trigger is something which will get executed before the DML operation. Alright. So before triggers are used to update. So why are these used? These are used to update or validate record values. Let's say before you insert a record, you just want to check if the values are correct or not, or if you just want to make some entries in the some basic fields, and then before the record is actually committed into the database, these changes can be made or the data can be validated. So validation should ideally happen before the DML operation, right? So these before triggers are used to update or validate record. So it can update the value, it can validate the values before they are saved to the database. So before a record is saved into the database, before trigger can make the changes in the record or validate some rules. After triggers. After triggers are used to access field values that are set by the system and to effect changes in other records. Okay, which means when a record is already saved into the database, you can execute a code after that, and after executing that code, what you can do is you can access the values of the record which got saved, and based on that you can do something else. Let's say for an example, if I create an account, I say the moment an account is created, automatically a contact should also be created. This is something which should happen after the insert operation. After the account is created, one contact should be created. All right. So this is an after trigger. Okay. But if I say that when an account is created, just check the revenue of the account should not be less than $1 million. This is something which should be checked before the record getting created, right? So we understand the before trigger and after trigger, right? So before trigger is something which it gets executed before the DML operation. After trigger is what gets executed after the DML operation, right? There's a small thing here. This after trigger are used to access field values that are set by the system and to effect changes in other records. Okay. So this after trigger will be used for making any changes to the other records, not to the record which got just saved or inserted. Okay. The records that fire the after trigger are read only. The record which fired the trigger becomes a read only. So you don't make a change on the record which just got saved. Correct? It can affect the changes on other records, but not on itself. Right? So I think once we start talking about examples, things will become a little more clear. Okay. So now let's quickly look into the syntax of the trigger. To define a trigger, use the following syntax. The syntax should be trigger. This is a keyword, as you have to write. Trigger name, you'll have to give a name to the trigger. On, again this is a keyword. Object name. So object name can be anything. It can be account, it can be opportunity. So if you want your trigger to be executed on account records, then it should be account here. If you want your trigger to be executed on opportunities, then you should write opportunity here. And then within brackets you write the trigger event. Okay. So what is the trigger event? Whether you want the code to be executed on an insert operation or an update or delete. When do you want the trigger to be to get executed? When a record in account is getting created or edited or deleted, something like this. Okay. So ideally, if you're writing a trigger on account, you should write it like this: trigger, let's say T1 on account, and when do you want that trigger to get executed? You can write a code here and close it. Okay. So this is how trigger is written. So this is a keyword. You give the name of the trigger. You can give it any name, as we have been doing for Visual Force and classes. We have been giving them names. Trigger also needs to have a name. So this is the name of the trigger. On which object you're creating the trigger, you will have to write the name of that object. You will have to define the event, on which event you want that code to get executed, and what code should get executed. That should be written here. That's it. Very, very simple syntax. Okay. So you write it like this: trigger name on object name, and within brackets you write the trigger events. Okay. Now let's understand the trigger event part. What are the which all events are allowed? The trigger events can be comma separated list of one or more of the following events. Okay. So what all possible trigger events are there? Before insert, before update, before delete, after insert, after update, after delete, and after undelete. So these are the 7 trigger events. You can call one or multiple of them on the trigger. right? So it is like, if I write the event here, before insert, which means this code will get executed before a new record is inserted in the account object. Simple. If I write trigger T2 on opportunity after insert, this means the code that you're writing inside this trigger will get executed after a new opportunity has been created, because it's an after insert operation. Fine. So once an opportunity record has been created, this code will get executed. Same way, if I say trigger T3 on contact, yeah. So if I write another, small trigger, let's say trigger T3 on contact, and in this I say before insert as well as after insert. What does it mean? Anyone? Quickly, this last one. What does this mean? When will the code get executed?
Before insertion and after insertion.
So on both the occasions, right? So this code will get executed when a new record is being created, before that also, and after the record is created, right? So that's it. So it's very, very simple. All right. So first slide we were talking about the operations, right? Which all operations? Insert, update, delete, undelete, right? So 4 different operations. So this is what you can do with a record, right? Either you can create a new record, you can update an existing record, you can delete an existing record, you can undelete something which you have deleted and which is lying in the recycle bin, right? So these are the only 4 options which we have. This is what we can do with the data. Now the second slide we talked about 2 types of triggers, before and after, right? So for everything we have a before and an after. Okay, so for every operation we have a before event and after event. That's it. Before insert, before update, before delete. There is nothing called before and delete. Okay. And then we have after insert, after update, and after delete, after undelete. So undelete, we just have one event, that's after undelete. Okay. But for everything else we have before insert, after insert, before update, after update, before delete, after delete, right? So when you want your code to get executed, that completely depends on you. Whether you want it before the insert operation or after the insert operation, that completely depends on you. And now if you look into this, now this will make a lot more sense to you. Types of Apex triggers. Before triggers are used to update or validate record values. Why will I execute some code before the record is actually inserted? Just to validate some data, just check if the data is correct, or maybe update some values to the data. And why will I execute a code after the record is inserted? Maybe because I want to make some changes on some other records, because this record already got saved, right? I might be I might be having a requirement to update some other record or create some other record. So that is why we use the after triggers. All right. So that's about the trigger thing. All right. So the basic syntax of the trigger we have talked about. Okay. Now before we start, writing the code inside it, let me just quickly log in into the Salesforce and we'll start writing code. So quickly tell me, the syntax format is clear. Now it's just a matter of what code you write inside it and what you actually want to check and what you actually want to do. So that's pure Apex. This is the syntax, that's it. So whenever you are defining a trigger, you know which object you want to create the trigger on, so you should just define the name of the object. You know which what event you want the trigger to be called on, define the event here, give the name of the trigger, and code part is something that we can define as per our choice, whatever we want to do. If on creation of an account you want to go ahead and create an opportunity, so that's your choice. If on creation of an account you want to create one more contact, that's again your choice, right? So that's there. So code part we will come into, so we'll do a few examples, and there's another thing that I want to talk about is methods or some context variables are there which are used with a trigger. I will talk about those also, right? So just give me one quick second. Just give me one quick minute. I'll just do that. So by now we understand the syntax of an Apex trigger. Now let's understand a few context variables. All right. What is a context variable? Context variable is basically used for accessing the data that is in context. Okay, while a trigger is happening, or while a trigger code is getting executed, the records which are in context, those can be accessed using the context variable. All right. So the next slide that we have, we understand the syntax and the events and everything. The next slide we are going to talk about the context variables. Okay, so these are the trigger context variable. All triggers define implicit variables that allow developers to access the runtime context. Okay, so the records which are being used in that execution of the trigger, those can be accessed using these context variables. Okay, so these are the default methods or variables which are already there. Okay, so the first variable is insert. Okay, the data type for this variable is a boolean. It either returns a true or a false. Okay, it returns true if this trigger was fired due to an insert operation. Quite logical. Insert is a variable which returns true if it's an insert operation. So if the trigger was fired from an insert operation, it returns true. Same way is update, returns true if the trigger was fired due to an update operation. Is delete, returns true if the trigger was fired due to a delete operation. Is before, this returns true if this trigger was fired before any record was saved. Okay, so if it's a before event, it can be anything, before insert, before update, or before delete, then it returns true, is before. Is after returns true if this trigger was fired after all the records were saved. After the save operation, if it is fired, then it's it is after, this will be returned true. This is after variable. All right. Is undelete. This returns true if this trigger was fired after a record is recovered from the recycle bin. So after undelete. All right. Now there are a few more variables. The one is new. Okay. This returns a list of the new versions of the SObject records. Note that this SObject list is only available in insert and update triggers, and the records can only be modified in before triggers. Okay, so these variables are called like this: trigger dot is insert. Okay, so this trigger dot is insert will return true if the trigger was fired due to an insert operation. So the same way we have trigger dot update and delete and undelete everything, right? And then we have trigger dot is before is after. All right. Apart from these things, there's one more context variable which is called trigger dot new. Okay. To make it simple for you to understand, let me explain it this way. This is the S object. There's a list S object. Okay, list of S object, which stores the records which are being updated or inserted. Got it? You need a variable to store the records which are being inserted or updated, right? So trigger dot new is that list of S object which stores the data which is being inserted or updated. It can be single record as well, but by default trigger dot new returns a list of S object. That is what we have here. So it returns a list of the new version of the S object records. Note that this S object list is only available in insert and update triggers, and the record can only be modified in before triggers. Okay. So don't get into that last line. We can talk about that later. Just understand that this is a list of S object which stores the data which is being inserted, which is actually being inserted or updated. Okay. On the similar lines, we have trigger dot old. This also returns the list of the records which are being updated or deleted. So this works good with insert or update operation. Trigger dot old works with update or delete operation. All right. Clear? So these are a few context variables, and then there is a trigger dot size, which returns the exact number of records which are being inserted or updated or deleted. So that's there. So we will go into those things later. So let's write a very small simple figure, okay, and work on that, okay, and you try to understand things based on that. Number of records, Swati. Trigger dot size is what you're talking about, right? Okay, so trigger dot old or trigger dot new is the list of records. Trigger dot new is list of records. It's not number of. Its return type is list of S objects. Right? Okay. So that's about the basics. Now let's just create a small trigger and try to understand that. So let's create a trigger. Let's say trigger to check if the opportunity amount is greater than 50,000. If not, throw error. Okay. So I basically want to do one thing. I want my trigger to check if when an opportunity is being created, the amount of opportunity should be more than 50,000. If it is not more than 50,000, then I want my trigger to throw an error. Simple, very simple trigger we are going to write. Okay. So before I go into Salesforce and start writing it, can someone help me write it here? What should I write? How do I start? Quick. Someone will have to suggest. So how do I start? Look into the syntax and suggest.
Trigger T1 on opportunity.
trigger T1 on opportunity, because we are talking about opportunity object here. Fine. What will be the event?
After amount?
Why after amount? Is there some event called after amount?
No. No. Amount greater than 50k.
Event.
Oh.
The list of events is here, right? These are the events. Out of these, which event should I pick?
Would it be before insert?
Yes, it will be. And will you tell us why do you think it should be before insert? That's correct, but why should it be before insert? What is the logic?
So we want to check, because we want to check that the amount is greater than 50k, right?
Yeah, and this checking should happen before the record is actually created. There is no point checking after the record is created, right? So for that reason, before giving the entry to the data, we would check it, right? So my code should get executed before the record is created. Simple logic, right? So if I want to validate some data, it's always a good idea to do a before insert. Okay. Now, since you have helped me write this part, now let's get into writing the code. Now, think about what code shall we write. You know Apex. You have been working on Apex for so many days. Now, what code should we write? If I just leave you with this, try to formulate some code.
T1 dot amount.
T1 dot amount. What is T1?
T1 is we created a trigger, right?
It's the name of the trigger. It's not the S object, right? So basically, I can understand what you are trying to do is you are trying to have some reference to the record which is getting inserted, right?
Yes.
So how do we get the reference to that record? We get it from trigger.new. Trigger.new is that record. I told you this is a list of S object which returns the value of the records which are in context. As simple as that. So we should write it like this: for opportunity O, I define a new opportunity S object in trigger.new if O dot amount. So O is one value in trigger.new. If O dot amount less than 50,000, O dot add error. Please provide a value more than 50k. That's it. Okay. So to do the comparison, I need some reference to the current record which is being inserted or updated, right? The record in context. Trigger.new is the list of S object which will hold the values which are being updated or inserted or deleted, whatever. The records which are in context are by default available under this trigger.new. In case of an insert and update operation, it's under trigger.new. In case of a delete or update operation, it's trigger.old. Okay. Now what happens here is, this is a list of S object. So you might be entering 20 records or 200 records, right? What I want this code to do is, I just wanted to have a run a for loop for opportunity O for each record. So opportunity O is a single S object opportunity record within trigger.new. Go and check if the amount of that particular record is. So for every record, it should go and check amount is less than 50,000 or not. In case it finds that less than 50,000, it should throw error. Tell me who could not understand this. Fine. So trigger.new is the list of S object. Opportunity O is just one variable that I've defined. I iterate that opportunity O inside the for loop, check amount of that record. If that's less than 50,000, I throw error. Okay, so let me go and write it in the Salesforce. Let's see if that is working. So before you start practicing the triggers thing, please make sure that you have turned off all the validation rules or deactivate all the validation rules, because sometimes your validation rules might be obstructing the triggers. So there's not a rule when you work on practical projects and stuff, but for your practice, just to make sure that you're not getting disturbed by the validation rules. Anju, I think I have deleted the history, so I need your login ID and password. Can you please type it? Okay. So creating trigger is very simple. We have seen what code needs to be written. We just did it here. We know what code needs to be written. I just need to go to setup, customize objects. Under customize, go to opportunities, because this is a trigger for opportunities. So you just have to go to opportunities, and under that you have an option called triggers. Okay, just go ahead and click on new trigger. That's it. Syntax comes to you automatically, so you can just put the name as whatever T1, whatever name you want to give. Events before insert. Okay, so make it a before insert trigger, and after that we can just put our code. So what was the code? What did we write there? Can someone help me write it again? Yeah, go ahead.
For opportunity.
For opportunity, right. So trigger should always be within a for loop. Okay. So I could have also set opportunity O within trigger.new, but that is not the right way, because there are two reasons. First reason, you should always be writing a trigger for bulk records, because you want your trigger to get executed in terms in case of a bulk data operation is happening also, right? So trigger should always handle a list of records. It should not be written for one single record. That's one reason. Second reason is that trigger.new itself is a list of records. So I cannot say opportunity O equals trigger.new. So those are not two. Opportunity O is an S object. This is an S object, which means it can hold one record, one single opportunity record. Whereas trigger.new, as we have told, we have discussed earlier, trigger.new is a list of S object, which means it's a list of opportunities. So I cannot go and say this is not a correct statement. Opportunity O equals trigger.new. This does not make any sense, right? So for that reason, so there are two reasons why we would always start the trigger with a for loop. So always write it this way. Opportunity O in trigger.new. Okay, and then inside that loop you write whatever. If just do the comparison of O dot amount is less than 50,000, then code.add error. Please enter a value which is greater than 50k. That's it. So it will check the amount of the record and it will throw you an error. If there is no error, it goes to the for loop again and checks the second record. The moment it finds an error, it stops it there and gives you an error. Correct? So this will work absolutely okay with a single record or multiple records. One more thing that we'll have to do is we'll have to make sure that the trigger is active. So this button should be checked. Is active. Has to be checked. And then just save it. Now the trigger is there, created, saved, absolutely fine. If I try to create an opportunity record, so here you don't need any interface and stuff like that. So earlier we were writing Apex class and then calling that on the Visualforce page, and that was long process. Here we don't have any such thing. Start creating an opportunity and put an amount less than 50,000. Let me put it 40,000. Please enter a value which is greater than 50k. So the error is being thrown. Right? Okay. Now if just look into this. So this part is clear, right? We have written the code, we have written the trigger, and now because my trigger actually checks if the value is 50,000 or not, it throws an error if it is less than 50,000. That's there. Now if I make it 60,000 now. Now should it get saved? Or should it still throw error? It should be fine now, right? Now there should not be any error. Yeah, it should get saved now. Try saving it. Got saved. Okay. Now if I edit the same record, the one that I saved earlier, now if I make it 30,000 and I try to save it, will it throw error this time or will it get saved?
Error.
Think properly and then answer. I saved the record, then I clicked on edit, and now I've changed the value. I've made it less than 50,000 this time. Now if I try to save it, will it throw error or not?
No, it won't throw because we have given before, right? Before insert. Oh, after insert we need to give, right?
Why after insert?
It will be on an update.
The record has already been saved, right? Yeah, it will be an update.
My trigger is only on before insert, right? So it checks the record only when a new record is insert, means a new record being created, right? Now this is not a new record anymore. This is an existing record, which means an update operation is taking place here, right? I have not defined my trigger to work on an update operation. So ideally this should get saved. Now this is not ideally the correct solution. So your end users can still save the record with a greater value, come back and change it to the lower values, right? So what should we do? What is the best way of doing that? Yes, the best way of doing that is just go put a comma and write before update also, so that you are checking this on the update operation. Before the update happens, you are checking it on that update operation as well. That's it. Now if you try and edit this, save it. Now for update operation also it throws error. Okay, make sense? Okay. Now come to the other, let's talk about another situation. Let's make it a little more complex. Everyone is clear with this, right? That before insert, before update. So before insert will only check when a new record is created. Before update will check when an existing record is being edited. So we understand what is an insert and what is an update. Now, in case I have two different logics to work on an insert and update. Okay. Let's say my company says that if it's a new record, then minimum amount should be 50,000. Minimum amount for new record 50,000. Minimum amount for existing record being updated is, let's say, 40,000. This can be a logic, right? The company says that okay, anytime a new record is being created, just check if the amount is greater than 50,000 or not. But if an existing record is being updated at that time, even if it is 40,000, consider it. It's okay. Fine. We'll just do that part. So for that, what I have to do, I have to define two logics here. Okay. So for this, what I have to do, I have to use that is insert and is update. I'll have to check if it is insert trigger, then do this. If it's update trigger, then do this. So ideally, our code should change like this. I've commented these two lines and I will write it in the other way. If trigger dot is insert and o dot amount is less than 50,000, then o dot add error. This is my error. I'll copy the error. Else if trigger dot is update and o dot amount is less than 40,000, correct? So I have put an if else condition here. So it checks if the trigger dot is in, it's an insert trigger and the amount is less than 50,000, then it throws error. If it is an update trigger, which means if it's an update operation, this will return true only if it's an update operation, right? So if it's an update operation and the amount is less than 40,000, then it should throw error. So for update operation, 45,000 will not throw error, right? Save this. Trigger is active. Now for update, if you go and say 45, it will save it. But if you make it less than 40, then it will throw an error because there is an update operation. If I make it 35, then it will have an error. See, please enter a value which is greater than 40k. Here, so how we are using this these context variables, the trigger dot new and the trigger dot is insert and the trigger dot is update. So you can use other context variables also like this, like trigger dot if it's a before trigger, then do this. If it's an after trigger, so these context variables are used trigger.new and trigger.old are used for, you know, getting the data in context. These trigger.is insert, is update, is delete, these are used for checking what operation are we dealing with and, you know, performing, you know, the action based on that, right? So that's how we actually, you know, define a trigger and use it. So let's do one thing. We are going to do a few more examples on trigger. We'll discuss more on trigger tomorrow. So just go back, try to write small triggers the way we have discussed this one. Okay. Write small triggers and then try to write triggers for different objects. Okay, so just don't write it for opportunity or an account. So try to, you know, come up with some sort of small logic and write it on any object. Okay. All right, so that's it for today. We'll see you all tomorrow, same time, same link. Thank you.